of your time, just point you with a story. Um, Also because it's being recorded, I'm not gonna go into crazy detail, but I just want to kind of give you guys, for those who don't know me, a gist of who I am, why I do what I do today, and really what the vision is, going forward, because that's really the whole reason that we look into the past, right? We got to get left to get right, just like in the markets. And one thing that um for me, I mean, I've been in this industry, not just for a few years, almost a decade now. Not just with trading, but investing in general, because I was actually investing into stocks before I even started day trading. And those are two different things. A lot of people may not know that there's two different ways to invest into any market. You could, either throw some bread into stocks, into cryptos, into NFTs, even though a lot of them, tanked. But that's one way to invest. It's called physical trading. And in order for you to do that, that requires a lot of capital. See, I didn't know about the other side of trading until 2015. I thought that the only way that, to trade or invest was to throw physical capital into something. And that's why I think a lot of people, wait before they even get started in this space, is because they're thinking, well, I don't have $10,000 to play. Like, I can't start trading or investing yet. And that's the biggest misconception. And that was kind of the first thing that I learned about trading that got me excited, is that it's something that anybody can do with a minimum buy-in of $10. That's how much it costs to open up a broker. So once I realized that, I'm like, dang, first of all, this is legal. You don't need a license to do this. And B, anybody can afford to throw, I mean, I'm not saying start with $10, right? But anybody can afford to throw, 40, 50, $100 to at least get their feet wet and start to understand how the money really works in this space. And this is something that isn't new. Like a lot of people are new to it, but this is the oldest game there is to play. I mean, this is essentially what if we're talking about the elitists, we're talking about the people that run the world. This is essentially their game. And that's one thing that, I'm super excited about, is to like teach everybody how to play their game and how to beat them at their game. I kind of consider it breaking the system from the inside out. So, a little bit about me. I was born in Mexico. I'm 32 years old right now. First generation immigrant, shout out to GTO, right? But when I came out here with my family, when I was 3 years old, like I was a baby. It was a crazy story. I'm not gonna get into like the whole like crazy, but long story short, like my family was involved in I mean, yes, Mexico, you already know, a lot of like the whole mafia cartel business, and that's actually how we ended up here. My dad actually ended up getting into a fight, almost left this dude like beat up like nearly to death because he had like broken into our house when I was little. I didn't know this stuff. And he knew that they were gonna come back. So that same day we up and left. And that's how I ended up here in the country. So, my whole story starts with a lot of just like crazy like decisions left and right. And one little thing could have changed like, everything. And so there was a million different things that had to happen for me to be at the right place at the right time back in 2015, when everything, started to really kind of brew for the first time. And like everybody was learning about trading for the first time. Nobody knew that this was even a thing, that this was possible, that there was apps to trade it. Like it was so new that, just like anybody introduced to anything that, works, you get really excited and you kind of get addicted, because whenever we first started trading, like there was this whole like, no sleep culture. Like if you don't, you know, if you sleep, you don't grind type of thing. That's a little toxic though. Like we grew past that, right? But at the very beginning, like we were just that like excited about learning this because we knew that A, there was a way to make money from this, and B, it wasn't just going to be like for us. This was going to be something that, not only we could teach to our family, like moving forward, because I'm sure every single one of you guys that's on this call who knows how to trade isn't just going to keep the information to yourselves. Right. I'm pretty sure that you want to teach, your kids whenever you guys have littles, or maybe you already have kids. And I mean, just imagine how like well prepared those babies are going to be whenever they can comprehend this information. I mean, essentially you're switching everything, right? Every single one of you guys are the ones that are causing all these generational curses to stop you. And so that's one of the things that just gives me so excited looking at in retrospect everything that we've been able to do, all the lives that we've been able to impact, just through us being hungry to learn a skill set. And so just to kind of get into like my background before I got into trading, I've basically been in sales my entire life. Um, and honestly, it's because I had to. It's not that I wanted to, because when you're little and the only thing that you can do to make money is sell whatever you can get your hands on. It's like you end up, kind of living off of it, off like a survival skill, but it was kind of like a blessing in disguise. I didn't realize that I was learning the most crucial skill set, period, in business, right? Because every business essentially is a sell. It doesn't matter if you're selling, makeup or facials or whatever the case is, like every single thing is a sell. And growing up, I was just selling everything. I was selling literally, I was that guy that was doing door-to-door sales for Kirby vacuum cleaners. Shout out to anybody if you guys have ever done any door-to-door sales. That is cutthroat, but it'll sharpen your sword to where you're like unfuckwittable. Like you could literally like go anywhere and kill it, after an experience like that. And I did it not only for like vacuum cleaners, I did it for like Cutco knives. This is when I was real young. And then I, started doing it for a like security system, like a whole bunch of different things like that. And that's kind of like, what broke me out of my show is the fact that I had to, it was just like the only thing I could do when I was little. So when I was 15, I felt like a burden to my family. I was like, man, you know what? Like I'm not paying bills. I'm 15. Like, man, I'm a bum. Like, what am I doing? It's like I need to like leave the house and start, doing something. Cause my dad started when he was like 11. So I compare, like my my past generations, and I'm like, I gotta get up and do something. And so I started working in car sales when I was 15. And by the time I was 17, I just had the opportunity to actually like run and manage my own car dealership with a business partner. So that was a crazy experience. And I guess you could say that was my first come up. I was 17. I was still in high school dropout. Actually, I didn't make it to senior year, but my junior year it was crazy. Like I feel like I did like 3 years in one just because I was doing a million things, just kind of like I always have. It's nothing new. But at the time, like I did let the money get to me, and this is why they say that money doesn't change who you are. It merely exposes, right? It amplifies like who you already are. So if you're a good person, you're gonna do a lot of good with money. If you're kind of a shitty person, well, you're gonna do a lot of shitty things with money, and that's just kind of how it works. And don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna like like clown on anybody or like say that people are dumb or because I was dumb. Like I'll be the first one to say it. Like I was the dumbest one with money. But see, I went through that phase so long ago because I'm 32 right now. I went through that phase when I was 17, and so of course I went out there and bought the rollie. Of course I was out there stunning on everybody, flexing, driving a different whip, like because I felt that I had something to prove. Growing up the way that I did with extreme poverty, hardships, my family always moving from place to place because we couldn't keep it together. My dad was a struggling alcoholic during my youth, so it was just a lot of crazy. And so of course I wanted to like tell everybody, look, I made it, but what did I really do? Let's look at it from like a just like if I take myself out of the equation, I look at it for what actually happened. I did the biggest mistake that you could do. I started to spend my cash flow. See, the way to get rich in life isn't just to make money, it's to be able to create different streams of income and automate that, cash flow, and then let that cash flow buy you whatever it is that you want. But the first thing that you got to think is, how can I create cash flow? Okay, because you could either put your money into something that goes down in value, like clothes, jewelry. Well, some jewelry goes up, but for the most part, most jewelry goes down in value. Shoes. I mean, I know nobody in here can resell their used shoes that they've been stepping on for a year for, the same price, probably not even half, yet alone make a profit. So, things like that are things that everybody kind of like goes for in the very beginning because we see it as kind of a necessity, but you don't need it. You really don't. Look at Jordan Morgan, one of the richest people that I know today. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know him, on Instagram, Mr. Seven Sources, shout out to the GOAT. But, I really look at him and admire him because of where he's at today, almost a decade after we all got started, compared to everybody else that got started at the same time. And so at the end of the day, it's like people can say whatever, but the proof is in the pudding, right? And the track records are there to really like show what it is that he's been able to do, how he's been able to grow his empire by not giving a fuck what anybody thinks, not trying to like, buy the Gucci and the Versace and because look, did you know, by the way, that those brands, Gucci, Versace, Louis Vuitton, they have actually two different catalogs. They have one that has all the brands, for all the poor people. Like this is actually how, like, this is their business model. Like they have that one that has all the flashy for their broke customers is what they call them, because it's people who basically live paycheck to paycheck just to impress other people. And then they have a whole nother catalog that doesn't even have the brands. That's more expensive, but that's for the people who actually enjoy quality. And you see what I'm saying? Like there's levels to this. You want to be on that particular side, but that doesn't come right away. That comes way later, right? And then when it does come, you don't even want to be like loud about it, because another thing I've learned, not only from Jordan, but a lot of mentors that I have, a lot of people that I follow, like Alex Morton, who is another one of my personal mentors that a lot of you guys may know, is that, wealth is quiet. It's only the rich people who are loud. And the thing about that is that, they're caught up in the whole what other people think about them, what their family thinks about them, the fact that they got to prove something to somebody. And so, take it from me, from my 17-year-old self back in the day, whenever, I thought that I was all high and mighty. Like, some people are so broke, all they have is money. Right. If your family's still working, if you don't have 100K in the bank, if you don't have 100K in assets, if you don't have money in real estate and stocks, if you don't have, Roth IRAs, if you don't have all of that first, the hell are you doing spending your little bread on, impressing people? Like, it's crazy. We spend money we don't have on things we don't need to impress people we don't even like, right? So that's the first thing that, I learned in business, is that you have to be patient, right? The flex comes way later. You have to be super, super, super patient in the beginning. And, I'm glad that I went through that phase early on. Because, now to me is like, I look at everything way different. So that kind of prepared me, right? Because people always tell me, oh, you're lucky, right? You were chairman 100, like you were one of the first people in IM. But I'm here to tell you that luck is when preparation and timing meet. You see, all these other things have prepared me. So never compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 10. Everybody has a whole different starting point and what we've been able to accomplish with the allotted time that we have. Plus, you don't even know like everybody's story. A lot of times people always kind of assume that, people make it overnight, but like Russ says, this ain't overnight. This is 10 years in the making. You know what I'm saying? So all these different opportunities that I had in business were, slowly prepping me for what I was about to accomplish in 2015. From there, I went on to get into the travel industry. And it's crazy because in the travel industry, like, there's so much money that I was comfortable. I was like super comfortable. I was like, man, I could do this for the rest of my life. Eventually, I got up to a point to where I was a sales director, working for big brands in the travel space, like pretty much every one of your big brands that you can think of. And they were paying me a lot of money. Like, I was making like multiple six, right? Let me say that again. I was making multiple six from 2012 all the way to 2015, when I first heard about trading. So the money wasn't like the first motivator for me. That wasn't like what caught my attention. I didn't look at trading like, oh, I can do this to make money. Even though I knew you can make money from it, like I saw trading and it got me excited because I was like, damn, this is how we're gonna break the system. This is how we're all going to be able to like learn this skill together, and quite literally like, you know have this transference of wealth from, I feel kind of like Robin Hood sometimes, like I'm robbing the rich and giving back, to the community. But literally, like, that's what trading is. Like, that's the power of trading. And because every single one of us who really understands this skill set has the power to impact another person's life, completely change it in most cases, just by introducing them to this, yet alone, teaching them and letting them actually understand how to withdraw money from the marketplace. Because I'll say this, a trader is not somebody that looks at charts. A trader is somebody that withdraws. So we have the power to give, this knowledge to anybody that really wants it. And eventually, they can take this and turn this into their literal ATM. Like, it's like, you don't, if you have a smartphone that's not producing you some type of income, like, it's a dumb phone. And if you have a bill, then you're doing it wrong, right? There's a better way to do it. And I tell people everywhere I go this, like, just that seed alone will get them curious, like, well, how do you make money, from your phone? Okay, boom, download this app, right? MetaTrader 4. Give them a quick 5-minute class on how to like enter a trade. And I guarantee you, even if they don't know what the hell they're doing, they're gonna call you or text you and like, yo, look at what I did. And then from there you got them, right? That's honestly like how I was like getting everybody and their mom involved. Like, my first month, I didn't know nothing, but I'm like, I know that it's real. I know that it exists. I'll at least share that, right? Some people, they want to be pros in trading before they plant the seed with anybody. And look at it like this, like, every moment is so precious. We're never going to be here again. Like, everything is constantly changing, constantly moving. If you come across somebody and if you really believe that everything happens for a reason, be the reason. That that person was like, damn, I was supposed to show up to this coffee shop today. I was supposed to come to this meeting today. I was supposed to get on that call today. Today's the day that everything changed for me. And then they're going to tell you a story about how everything changed for them because of that one event. And you see, so with great power comes great responsibility. Guys, it is our responsibility to be teaching people this information. It really is. That's the reason why I'm on this call right now. I promise you, like, there's no other reason other than to maybe inspire somebody that's listening to go out there and do the same thing, you know? And so um, I was making good money before I got started with this. And the reason that I quit all of that was because, I saw that this was something that was actually going to make me feel accomplished, make me feel like I was doing something, make me feel like I was living with purpose because I was already making money. Like the money was cool, but I didn't feel like I was changing anybody's lives. And, one thing about me is that I'm very, like, for those who know me, I'm very like philosophical, very spiritual, and I like to study a lot. And one thing that I found in my studies was a philosophy that the Egyptians used, and I kind of like to implement it into my life because again, it makes me feel purposeful, right? And it's a very, very simple philosophy on how they live their way of life based on what their heaven or hell was, which was incarnation. And I'm not going to go into like theology or religion or any of that stuff. I respect everybody, and I think everybody's right. But one thing that they really, I think, nailed was the whole point of living, right? And it was with two questions. And so, after you would pass and go through the judgment hall of Osiris, is what they called it, you would get asked these two questions. And question number one was, did you find joy in life? Now that's a very deep question. Like you gotta like really like, stop and ask yourself, like, am I happy? Have I found joy? Like, have I found that thing that makes me come alive? A lot of people die never knowing what that feels like. So that's the first question. You got to make sure that you're good and that you find that joy. And the way that you're going to find that is within yourself, right? It's not outside of you. The only way out is in. You have to really make sure that you're pouring into yourself, that you're giving yourself that self-love, that you're doing things for you first, because the best thing you can do for anybody is take care of you, right? So that's the first thing. The second question was, did your life bring joy to others? And I think that's another very deep question when you think about it, because if you're somebody that's moving by example, that's doing, good things for the community, for everybody around them, and essentially you give people knowledge, you give them even a smile, whatever it is to spread joy, well, it's universal law, isn't it? That you get what you give. So I think truly then you would have understood the whole point of life, which is to basically enjoy life as much as possible and help other people be able to see that light within themselves, right? So this is trading does that for me. Like this is the reason why I do what I do. Like still today, even after having been a seven-figure trader, even after having been one of the highest paid Latinos in the entire North American continent, for a couple of years running, whenever we were Chairman 100, because I'm not gonna lie to you, like, it's the elephant in the room, but I'll be the first to tell you, like that ship long sailed, right? Everything in business is a lesson, and we were able to use that lesson to be able to like do a whole bunch of other things that we wanted to because we were smart with our money. But before I kind of jump back and forth, so 2015, I find I am right. Christopher Terry was basically like the guy that said, "Hey, I'm going to take you guys under my wing and show you the ropes, teach you guys this stuff." And so again, I was just getting people excited by the fact that I was connected to a millionaire. If you guys are in IM, or even if you're not in IM, right? Like I was just bringing people to the source. I wasn't the one saying anything. And a lot of times, people are again scared to speak up because they don't know how to like present information. They don't know how to like, put somebody on. Well, I mean, how simple was it to send somebody this link today and let whoever hopped on hear from us? You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to do any of the work. Like, it's very simple. I tell people all the time, the easiest way to build a business is to leverage. And so I taught everybody around me how to leverage. And before you know it, man, we like it was like a movie. Like literally, we went from like chairman to chairman 25 to chairman 50 to chairman 100, like back to back to back. It was crazy, and it was all because we had that dream, we had that vision, very, very, very clearly defined. The day that we got started, people always say, well, chairman is a mindset. Well, I had that mindset day one. A lot of you that are on here right now, I know have that mindset and have had that mindset since day one. So if that is a goal of yours, just know it's already done. Even if it's being a six-figure trader and you had that vision clearly defined and you're in here doing the work and you're putting in the reps, it's already done. You got to just know it's done, right? You can't hope that it's going to be done, or you can't just, wish for things to be done, or you can't even pray for it, because if you actually really look at it, the proper way to pray, and this is even written in the Nag Hammadi library in the Gospel of Thomas, where it says, "Ask and you shall receive." Well, they actually like didn't give that to the public. In the original context in the Nag Hammadi library, it says, "When you ask, feel as if it's already done. And when thought and feeling become one, that means that you've thought about it and you felt it, it's already done. They become one. You can say to the mountain, move mountain, and it will move. So that's just how things work, guys. Like, this is the science behind manifestation. And so whenever you can get to that point of just knowing, everything that you want is already yours. You know, my other mentor, Kevin Trudeau, who writes me letters, is crazy. I love getting his letters. You know, he'll like go like deep into certain things. And one of the biggest things that he taught me was when he was in jail, in prison, you know, because they were trying to like convict him for basically waking us up, right? You know, shout out to the GOAT for real, because he took a big hit for us. But he told me, he said that when he was in there, he wasn't like worried, he wasn't stressed, he wasn't upset, because he wasn't even there. In his mind, he was somewhere else. Just like the background that you see right now, I'm in a room. You know, I'm not in the beach right now, but in my mind, this is where I'm always at 24/7. I'm in that mental state of clarity, of peace, where everything is just abundant, right? And it's because I live in that state that everything is beautiful. Everything constantly happens for me. Everything I'm not even gonna like say it's God wants for you what you want for you. And some people use that God's will as a kind of lame excuse, like, oh well, I'm not rich because it's God's will. Like, no, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just you being lazy. Because every single one of us can do it. Like, nobody's better, nobody's special, nobody's different. Unless you're like handicapped and you have some type of inability, every single one of us has the same capabilities to do whatever it is that we set our minds to. Just like, you know, in The Strangest Secret, Earl Nightingale will say that the reason why most people fail in life is because they simply just don't have a goal. They don't know where they're going. They don't have a roadmap. And so the first thing you got to have is goals. And a goal isn't just what you want. A goal is what you want with a date on it, right? And it's not just like what you want, but it's something that you got to know is already yours. Like, I'm so happy and grateful now that, you know, I'm on the yacht with the whole family in the Caribbean, you know, by Christmas. Like, that right there, boom, that's a goal. You got to kind of have like that pinpoint, you know, exactly where time and space that's going to occur. And when you make the decision for that, it's crazy, but the universe will conspire with you to get it. So, you know, all these different things that I was learning throughout 2015 up until now, in terms of mindset, in terms of trading, in terms of, you know, just being a better individual, like personally, because again, that's how you become the person that everybody wants to do business with, is you work on you, right? Everything just kind of fell into place the way that it did, you know. And almost a decade later, being in the space, I can tell you, I feel like I'm just getting started. Like, I feel like, you know, I'm still learning. You're never going to get it. You're always getting it. But, you know, one thing that I have completely in check now are my emotions. And it took a lot for that. It took a lot. So it's sometimes easy to preach, you know, having that like under lock, but it's a lot easier said than done. I know, I understand, because I've blown accounts, you know, back to back to back. I've made a lot of mistakes, you know, in mentorship. I've lost like business. People have left, you know, my mentorship, and all these different mistakes had to happen to make me who I am today, to teach me what I needed to know today. So, you know, I watched this video the other day, this movie of the new Flash, where he goes back in time to try to like correct some error that happened so that everything is perfect like in the future. But he realized that you can't do that, because it's those mistakes that you made in the past that, you know, define where you are today. So you have to be grateful for that and just, you know, take it and learn from that. But Kevin, I don't know if you were gonna say something, brother. You know, I could talk forever. You already know me, so y'all gotta like stop me.
No, bro, I was just gonna let you keep flowing, bro. You're in flow state right now. But
I appreciate
shit,
that. I
bro,
appreciate that.
dude, you went
Say real
you went
quick.
crazy right now, man. Like, we can unravel some of this. Or because dude, we're already 40 minutes in the call, and I know some people do. This is a trading call, so I know that people want to see some charts too, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Look, the charting part is easy. I promise you. Like, that stuff takes 5 minutes. So
nah,
let
no
me go ahead
cap,
and
no cap.
pull up some charts real quick and
But
show you guys show you guys a little bit of a play-by-play breakdown on NAS. You know, how's that sound for y'all?
Bro,
All right.
I
dude, that
never
felt so quick though, bro. Like
no,
that did
bro.
not feel like 30 minutes or anything like that. Oh, bro, that shit was so fast.
Oh, here, do you mind if I share my screen?
Oh yeah. Hold on, hold
Nah,
on.
bro, not at all.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So for the people, man, you know, kind of just explore like your guess like how your approach on the markets is, and like your mindset behind like your strategies and just everything that
Yeah,
you do, and like
absolutely, absolutely. So,
mhm.
you know, trading really is 90% mindset, you know, and that's why I was elaborating so much as to like the mindset that you have to have whenever it comes to to this sport, right? I call it a sport because to me that's kind of what it is. You know, it really is a sport. Who in here would agree that trading is a sport? You know, drop a one on the chats. I would definitely think it's a sport. It's like ping pong. It's almost as simple as ping pong, right? Where you just gotta bounce the ball back. Compared to other sports, is way more simple. Like if you compare this to basketball, if you compare this to baseball, right? Baseball has a million different rules. Football has a million different rules. Like all these other sports are way more complex, believe it or not, to learn and to be good at than trading. Because I mean, what's the percentage of people who are actually going to make it to the NFL or the NBA or whatever, right? Versus people who can actually become really good traders. Like that's the first thing you guys got to realize. This is a very easy sport to play. There's only two rules, right? Rule number one is risk management. Rule number two is emotional discipline. But you're never going to practice rule number two if you can't follow rule number one. If you have $100 account, let's just say for an example, right? If you have $100 account and you take a trade and you're wrong, how much should you lose? What should it cost you, right? Because if it's anything like $10, well, that's 10% per trade. Your risk is really crazy, which means that if you're wrong, 10 trades, that's it. The account is gone. And now you got to put more money into the account. So that's not proper risk management, right? If you want to be able to actually like take this in as a career and not let it affect your emotions and be able to like compound, you got to be okay with getting rich slow. Let me repeat that. You got to be okay with getting rich slow. Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, they asked him, what's your strategy? And he said, it's getting rich slow, but nobody wants to do that. What do I mean by that? Stop trying to like flip your account. If you have $100 account with one trade, stop trying to take it to 200. If you have $1,000 account, stop trying to flip that to 2,000, and so on and so forth. Because it's small wins that, really compound your account over time. My risk right now is 0.25%. So I'm risking a quarter of 1% per trade. I'm giving myself up to 4 chances to take that entry every single day. So if I'm wrong all 4 times, which is, it's happened, I'm only going to lose 1%. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not really risking anything that's going to make me feel uncomfortable. I'm way below my, anxiety levels, or if you will. I'm doing something that, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be like, man. And that's how you have to look at trading. Trading has to be boring. Essentially, it's kind of a boring game. Like, I know that I said that it's a game, but it's not supposed to be a fun game. Consider trading more like chess. Okay, ain't nobody screaming in chess, ain't nobody jumping up and down in chess, ain't nobody got cheerleaders in chess. If anything, they're listening to classical music. Like that's how you got to approach the market. So that's my mindset. Whenever I pull up NAS or whatever else, I haven't traded gold in a long time. I know that she's probably like, damn, you forgot about me. Like, how dare you? But you know what? Like, she's happy because a lot of you guys are with her now. So it's all good. But NAS, man, she's just been so good to me for the last year and a half since I started to really focus on NAS. And here's a crazy thing, if you study the most successful people, they're usually just focused and locked in into one thing. In business, like I know some of the most successful people, they're locked in and they have like, one person by their side. They're not like distracted with all these other people, right? And it's not until they actually like, make that commitment and they go all in that things kind of change. So I kind of looked at that with trading and it's the same thing, even in the relationships. It's like this year I feel like I'm really becoming who I want to be because I locked in. Like, shout out to you guys already know. If y'all don't, follow Nats 100 because she's literally one of the best Nats 100 traders that I've ever met. So it's crazy, but all of that happened because of trading. So trading, you're going to meet your best friends. You're going to meet the person that's going to, build that empire with you. And it's so much more than just trading, guys. So this community, I love this community. Thank you guys for all 48 of y'all for being on here for real. Like, I hope that y'all don't mind me rambling on, but it's 90% mindset, 10% is skill, like 10%, like, and it's funny because like I'm like patient to give it to you. I'm not gonna give it to you right away because I know you want it. I'm gonna make you wait for it because the market is gonna make you wait for it. You see what I'm doing? I'm teaching y'all patience. Most people can't even hold a candle for more than 10 candles, and the trade is not one candle; it's at least 10. So if you're trading on the minute, hold for 10 minutes. If you're trading on the hour, hold for 10 hours. If you're trading on the daily, well, that's how I swing for, 2 weeks, 3 weeks sometimes. So you have to have patience, right? Trading is a transference of wealth from the impatient to the patient. After you have all that stuff down, then you can approach the market with skill. And here's how simple it is, right? What we're looking at right here, right now, is the market coming down. Okay, well, what goes down must go up, and what goes up must come down, right? That's what most people think. And they're right. That is how everything kind of goes, everything goes up and down. But it doesn't just go up and down. It actually goes sideways. The first thing that I had to learn about trading is that there's 4 different phases in the market. So the market goes down sideways, then it goes up sideways, and then it goes down sideways. And then guess what it does after that? It goes up and then it goes sideways. It is really crazy how simple this is, because if you start to really pay attention to that, you're going to notice that, it repeats that all over every single instrument, from cryptos to forex to indices to metals to stocks, you name it, on every single time frame, the minute, the 15, the hour, the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, the monthly. It does the exact same pattern everywhere, because the market is fractal. And knowing that the market is fractal means that you don't have to get anxious as to what's going to happen. You got to just be confident and know that it's going to repeat those phases. So if the market just came down, don't just buy it, wait for that sideways movement and then buy it. If the market just shot up, don't just sell it. Wait for that, information to play out. Wait for it to give you phase A, B, and C for Wyckoff, and then get in, right at phase C if you want the perfect textbook entry, which I am going to show you guys here today. At least, one of my entries, because I have a bunch, but, we don't have too much time. So I'm going to show you at least one of my entries, but understanding that the market has 4 phases, now you can be more confident using Wyckoff. Some people, they're like, man, I get Wyckoff, but I don't. I just explained it like in a nutshell. That's like the simplest way that I could put what Wyckoff is. And that sideways movement is known as accumulation or distribution. And you can look at that. You guys can, find it, or if somebody has a website, drop it on the chat. But you could go out there and study the 4 different schematics. This right here, who can tell me what schematic this is, by the way, before I break it down, just from eyeballing it, because I know some of you guys already know. Well, here's what I identified, right? The first thing that I identified is that the market obviously came down. So it's going to start phase A of accumulation, which is the sideways movement. So the very beginning of the sideways movement is phase A. And phase A makes a series of movements. It makes 4 different movements. And so to easily identify them, we're going to go ahead and just put these little things right here. So we have the preliminary support, which is kind of the fake low, I guess. And then it just, everybody buys it there because everybody wants to buy the dip. Have you ever heard buy the dip? Yeah, don't do that. All right, that's the preliminary support. That's what that is. And then after that, you're going to have the selling climax. So if you buy this dip, then, this is a pretty good time to buy. But this isn't going to go all the way back up. It's eventually going to come back down either to your entry or to your stop profit if you trailed it. Who in here trails their stops? I used to do that too. But if you really consider trading a game, who are we playing against? The broker, right? It's kind of like at the casino, you're playing against the dealer. And the dealer obviously wants to beat you. Like the house always wins, right? So they always have this motive to get you. Well, if you trail your stops, in my opinion, you're like showing them your cards. You're like, this is where my stop is. So, of course, they're going to come back and tap you out. They don't want you making money. So the markets are designed to make you fail. If you understand this, then it's all just like psychological games from that point on. And then you can start to play chess with the market. So preliminary support, selling climax. Now, if you're an advanced trader, then selling climax is a pretty good time to buy, but take your profits, whenever it makes another equal high, or what some people would identify as, support or resistance, which, really isn't the time to get in. It's just the bait, because they're going to make sure that those stop losses get ran. So another thing that I can start to identify is that there is equal highs right here. And so this is known as liquidity, where most people's stop losses are. So it's going to, prep this to go and capture that liquidity later. After the automatic rally, which is what it did right here, it's going to come down and make that, it's going to come down and make that second test, which basically completes phase A. So if it makes these 4 things on the minute, the 15-minute, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If it makes these 4 things, just tell yourself, okay, that's phase A. So that means that it's about to make what most people in trading, because most people are retail traders, would identify as the support and resistance. So every time that people see support and resistance, what they're really identifying is phase B. That's what they're really identifying. And so here's how that works, right? So this is the second test. And then phase B is going to just make liquidity. That's what support and resistance does, right? So this is what most people would identify as support and resistance right here. However, that's not necessarily the best time to get in. There's a lot of liquidity right there, right? And it's crazy because it always just captures that liquidity and then it runs to the other side. So I already know this is phase B just by seeing, those equal highs and equal lows. I immediately just know that's phase B. So right after phase B, what's going to happen? It's going to be phase C, which is where that spring and then that mitigation occurs. Or if it's schematic number 2, it doesn't necessarily like do that. It sometimes just, makes the lowest point in phase A or B, and then it comes down to just, a previous area of imbalance, or sometimes it'll just make equal lows or highs and actually be the one time that, support and resistance works. And this is why I'm not here to like clown like retail traders or anything like that. Because if you were a retail trader and you didn't know anything and you got in right here, that equal low, and it ended up going to the moon, guess what? You were right. But that doesn't happen all the time, because you see, here's those equal lows right here. You would have been wrong right here. You would have been wrong right here. So you have to know when those particular phases actually occur that do play out, in the proper way. And another thing that you can also use is Fibonacci. So Fibonacci is a tool that, pretty much gives you kind of like certain estimated areas in any unit of measurement. So you can measure this in a million different ways, but I'm going to teach you guys how to use this from the low to the high if you're looking for a retracement to then buy, or from the high to the low if you're looking for a retracement to then sell. So that's how I use this fib levels. And I also don't look at anything other than 3 fib levels in particular. Okay, so let me go ahead and put these right here for you guys so you guys can see this. If you just want to, go ahead and screenshot that. Very simple, right? I use the 0, the 1, the 50, and the 50 I only use it in phase D. I'll kind of like show you what I mean here in a sec. But the 3 entry points that I normally take are the 71.6, the 78.6, and the 88.6. Okay, and these particular levels have just worked for me so many times, just like I drew it right now from this swing low to this swing high, and you can see it literally came to retrace right at the 88. Like right there was an entry to, hold this for a swing trade. And this is on the daily. So just off of, a few confirmations, we understood that it was phase A, then phase B created equal highs and lows, and then it was going to come down to mitigate that position. We went ahead, draw a fib on that. And, that would have been a crazy play, at which point, if you wanted to get back in, you just wait for every one of those retracements that usually come close to those imbalances where you could, basically scale into your position and get back in. Or you could even hedge, like, some of you guys who were in the traders chat, shout out to everybody who took that short on Nas. That was clean. But we like the hedge, which means that we have a buy and then we have a sell too, and then we get into another buy, because if you're an experienced trader, you want to play ping pong in the market. You want to capture as many moves as possible, right? That's what makes the sport actually a little bit fun. But just like a sport, you have to practice. So everything that I just showed you guys right now, which is, not a whole lot, but this is enough to get you amazing entries across the board on so many different, setups. Like I said, it works on everything. So try this out a little bit, right? Get used to identifying those different phases in Wyckoff. Understand that sometimes it'll make schematic 1, sometimes it'll make schematic 2, but also, you can use the fibs for another confirmation. And another confirmation could even be what's happening around the world. That's what I love about trading, is that if you know what's happening around the world, you can use all these things to your advantages. Every time that, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Powell, speaks, he moves the market. This Friday, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a strong move in the markets. That's usually wherever I get into my swings, and NFP at the beginning of the month, that's where I swing on my monthly. So I'm just giving you guys, some really key things to look at as far as, certain entries or certain things that could help you identify when the big moves are going to occur. And if you do get a good entry, like if you do get this entry right here, on phase C, another thing that I also don't think that, is beneficial to your trading is if you're just doing like small risk to reward ratios, like, 1 to 3. Like let's say that you got this entry right here, but it was on a 1 to 3. Well, that's cool. That's really nice. but look at how much you left on the table. Like that's crazy to me, because if you know it's in phase C, you should have more confidence holding it, knowing that it's about to go into the markup phase. Like, look at that. Like that's insane, you know? So more important than entries are exits. Like I would recommend for you guys to at least go with a 1 to 10 minimum, especially if you understand, you know, that it's on phase C. Look at that, at least a 1 to 10. You see what I'm saying? And that's still leaving a lot on the table. So, you know, that's just basically going up back to where those previous highs were. On a swing, if I'm on phase C, like I'm gonna go for longer than a 1 to 10, you know. I might do like a 1, you know, to like 20, maybe even a 1 to 30. And it's still gonna be, you see what I'm saying? So that's one thing that I really learned in, you know, terms of swinging and holding a position, is that a trade is not one candle, it's at least 10. So have that patience to hold if you know that you got it into, you know, that buy on accumulation, or if you got into that sell at distribution. Learn to hold it a little longer. And I promise you that the more patient you are in terms of trading, the better it is going to be for your career long term, because you're going to be able to make more money. And if you're busy like me and you have a million things going on all the time, you don't have to spend every, you know, day looking at charts. You don't have to scalp every single day for an hour, 2 hours. You don't have to intraday trade. You don't have to trade at every single open of London and every single open of New York. That's cool, that's fun, and you know, we can do that all day long while we're learning the game and we're playing. But wouldn't it be more cool if it was just like you know, got into the trade on NFP, you held it for a month, and you were, you know, doing whatever it is you wanted throughout that whole month, and at the end of the month you're just making more and more and more and more money? Like that to me is like sexy. Like that's trading without having emotions in the game, you know. And if you understand what I'm telling you guys, then you know, I hope that this is something that's going to be beneficial to somebody in here watching, who's taking notes, and you know, seeing that it really is just that simple. Now I know I super simplified it, and there's a lot more that goes into that, but you know, I also do have
Let's
mentorship that I
go.
give to active students. So I can't give you guys all the sauce, but if you know, are interested in something like that, then hit me up, right? Like if you really want to take your skills to the next level, I am here to help you and, you know, guide you and show you the way. And I can't give you any guarantees. What I can guarantee you is that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's the beauty of trading, is that this is a skill set that nobody can take away from you guys. Like once you got this down, like, man, like you've made it. And there's 4 levels of learning, right? Because what are the 4 basics to mentorship? Number 1 is, who do you listen to? Listen to people who only got results. Number 2 is your teachability index. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how willing are you to learn? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how willing are you to change? And if both of those are a 10 and a 10, then you know, 10 times 10 is 100. You're 100% teachable. But if your willingness to change is a 5, even though your willingness to learn is a 10, but you're not willing to change, you're not willing to wake up earlier, you're not willing to back test, you're not willing to hold a trade, you're not willing to change anything, well, then you're 50% teachable. And so, you know, that's only going to give you a longer learning curve, right? So if you have a high teachability index, you're like, yes, I'm going to do it just like this. Boom, you start implementing right away. The third basic is the training balance scale. You can't just watch videos and expect to get better in trading. I know so many people who've been watching videos for years and still suck, right? Like it's still haven't withdrawn. And I'm not calling anybody out, but I'm just being real. Like how many people, you know, who spent hours upon hours watching sports every day, or, you know, watching every single like big game that comes on TV, but if they go on the field, they suck. It's the same thing in trading, right? There's a fine line between just watching videos and actually playing the sport. So you have to watch, and apply. And you can't just, you know, play the sport without watching, because you're not going to get better either. So training balance scale means you learn and you apply at a very, very steady rate. And then the 4 levels of learning is unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. That's when all of us first heard about Forex for the first time. I thought it was like FedEx. I was like, is that like FedEx's competition? Like, what's good? You know, but you don't know what you don't know, right? Then you know that it's real. You know that people make money from it, just like any person trading stocks. You know that they can make money from that, but maybe you don't know how to trade stocks yourself. Well, you're in that second level. And then once you're actively learning, you're actively paying the price, you're doing whatever it takes, that's the 3rd level. And you're so close to that 4th level, which in trading, when you make it to that 4th level, guys, that's it. You've stepped out of the matrix. Now life is whatever you want it to be, right? It's Christmas every day. It's your birthday every day. It's vacations every day. And the whole point is to build a life that you don't need a vacation from. So, you know, really that's what trading, you know, is for me and for everybody that, you know, wants to really get good at it. I promise you, this is the way out, guys. This is what I gave up 8 years of my life for. And when people say they go all in, sometimes they don't really mean it. Like I'm talking about, like I dropped the girl I was dating at the time. I dropped the friends that I had at the time. I haven't seen my best friends in 8 years. Literally, they were like, nah, this isn't for us. So I was like, okay, bet. You got to change the people that you surround yourself with, because you become the average of the 5 people that you're around. It's like your mom told you, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. It's very much like that. If your 5 friends are not trading, are not withdrawing, don't expect to. Change your friends to 5 friends who are withdrawing. And I promise you, just like that, your whole life is going to change. So, guys, with that being said, I just want to say again, thank you for hopping on tonight. Like I said, trading is easy. It's 5 minutes, right? So study that mindset, put the reps in. And guys, much love to every single one of you guys. I hope that, every single one of you guys accomplishes your goals, your dreams. Remember, this year's going by real quick. And if you're not where you want to be, you got to up the pace a little bit, right? So reach out to me if you need anything, guys. And I appreciate you again, Caesar, Kevin, brother, for having me on here. Even though like I talk forever, I'm telling you, I just gotta shut me up sometimes.
Bro, you don't need to shut up ever, man. Don't ever say that. Bro, we gotta have you on again for real, guys. Let us know in the chat if you guys would like to see Vargas back on Money Heist, man, because we need a part 2. We need an extended, literally like longer version. Like, bro, we gotta just sit down and have like a literally conversation, podcast style. Like, we gotta do this
I'm
again,
with it,
bro.
brother. I'm with it. I love to share whatever it is that I've learned throughout the years, and not just trading and business and mindset, but like everything, guys. Like it's so much deeper than this. Me and Mike Miles, when we met in 2015 and created the Trade House, me and Mike already knew what the game was. Like we already knew that we were doing this to eventually like get rid of money. Like I just went real deep there, but and that might have went over some of y'all's heads. But I'm telling you, like that right there, that's why we've been enslaved forever. And my philosophy and Mike Miles's philosophy is, if everybody had $1 million, who would give a damn about money? So let's make that the reality.
Yeesh.
Nah,
Man,
bro. Mic drop, man.
no,
Mic drop.
it's even like Jim Carrey says, I hope everybody reaches their goals and dreams just so they realize like the money aspect of it is not it at all. Right. And bro, you talked about it. I mean, it's not about the money, it's about the impact, the purposeful life. Did you find joy and did you give purpose? Like, sheesh, bro. I appreciate you. Like everybody, I hope you see exactly damn why this has been a man who has stayed at the pinnacle of mentorship, to go a sensei to so many people that even we look up to, for not just a season, not just for a certain aspect of a journey, but through his entire career being in the industry of just flat out trading, entrepreneur, and all around just I am as a whole, and even outside of him, still looking to pour into others. Because this call, like you said, he didn't need to be here, but his heart's so big and his purpose so strong that he wanted to.
I get to be here.
And that's it. That's fucking it right there. So
Let's
yo,
fucking go.
man, so we're gonna go ahead and end this call right here, because I know you got places to be, people to see, and so these other people, because it is midnight 05 over here on the East Coast. So real quick, Pa, to tie it all in together, when you're going through the journey in the beginning, as you stayed in the journey through the middle, and you're nowhere near the end, but you're a lot more comfortable, whether it was trading, the entrepreneur, or even just the visionary aspect of, hey, Mike, hey, Jordan, we can really build this trade house Forex thing into a legacy, not just an empire, because empires rise and fall. But in all honesty, like me and Kevo have literally made this call because your legacy has reached this far for this long.
Okay.
How is it that people can go ahead and just keep that motivation, dedication, inspiration for throughout their entire career, whether just be in day trading or leveraging this and then looking to take on new ventures as well?
Absolutely. I mean, the whole goal was always multiple streams of income. And, I'm trying to catch up to my grandfather. My grandfather was actually a developer. Like this guy, he was a serial entrepreneur who developed a lot of San Diego and a lot of San Miguel de Allende in Mexico and GTO, two of the most beautiful cities. And, I look at everything that he's been able to do in his life, and I'm just like, dang, like I'm slacking. I'm always, trying to like do more, because I guess I come from Legends and I have like big shoes to fill. So I have this just like I can't sleep type of mindset because I'm not there yet. But I know that sometimes we don't take breaks for ourselves. We don't take, care of our mindset. And that's one thing that I had to really like learn to do, is to balance, my time. Because again, the best thing you could do for somebody is take care of you first, and you can't pour from an empty cup. So a little bit of advice for everybody trying to build other businesses, or raising the capital to go after maybe your dream industry, because like for me it's a whole bunch of different things. Like right now I'm involved in commercial roofing, residential, cars. Like I have a property management company, the trading thing. I'm actually partnered with a retired boxer, about to launch one of the craziest brokers. That's about all I'll say on this call, but I'll let you think about that one. And so many things are happening right now, but it's because again, I first went all in into trading, into learning the skill set, and to getting my cash flow up, to then start to do different things. And so right now I'm at the point where I'm just kind of like scaling, and expanding, and really kind of, I guess, testing myself and my abilities, to see what I could really do. I always constantly speak to myself about myself, and I just always feel like there's just so much more that needs to get done, and that's probably why I only sleep about like 4 hours a night. So for me, time is very, very limited. And there's a movie called In Time that really kind of puts everything into perspective, because in the movie, time really is money, and they pay for like rent with like a day of their life and stuff like that. And when you really put that into perspective, like people do that too. So I just really want to be somebody that moves with purpose, because I can't just be out here preaching. It's really how you move. Like preach at all times, but when necessary, use words, because I promise you, it's not what you're saying. So the movie was called In Time, by the way. But yeah, man, there's so much more to come. There's so many more things that Trade House is cooking, that are coming to the platform of not just I am and trading, and everything that you guys have going on, but there's so many things that I see so many people really just realizing and turning from dreams into fruition. And I know that very soon every single one of you guys is going to be able to make all of y'all's individual dreams come true. And I'm pretty sure that everybody in here is going to have a million different businesses, be traveling all over the world, having houses all over the world, because why not, right? I mean, I'm not in this to play small, and I don't think any one of you guys are either. So just always think much bigger, much faster. That's the thing that Alex tells me all the time. And it doesn't matter how much you've done, like whatever you did yesterday doesn't mean anything. Like it's that's already gone, right? You have to earn it every single day, because his most recent video, he said, if you're not growing, you're dying. It's just one or the two. That's it. So you got to ask yourself every day, am I growing today, or am I dying today?
Dude, let's go ahead and end it on that note, man. On a super, super high note. C's, you got the outro, my G.
Please, family, I appreciate every single one of y'all for saying tuned in, tapped in all the way to the very end of the call. We know you got places to be, people to see. So really quick, if y'all could go ahead and just drop some heat, some goats, and some king emojis in the chat for our king, our Ray Vargas, bro. For literally from just a student standpoint, a man who looks up to you, forget the chat, just on the one-to-one level, you are a true inspiration, a true mentor, and your legacy is now etched in time, because you are someone who's literally continuously seeking out new challenges and not staying comfortable, because you could have literally stayed comfortable in hospitality, but because your urge and desire is so strong, your legacy is now etched in time itself. So Ba, we appreciate you. By far the best Money Heist call we've had to date, not just the year, not just the season, but to date. And it is, of course, undoubtedly because of you and your wisdom and your legacy. So fam, we're going to go ahead, gonna end this call here. We appreciate every single one of y'all, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can go ahead and rewatch the sauce, because some things may have gone over your head, but I promise you Vargas is never out of reach. Just go ahead and reach him on Instagram, Wake Up with Vargas, hit him, send him a quick shout out, send him a quick appreciation message, and look just for continuous words of wisdom, encouragement, and mentorship, because he is always learning, so he's always gonna have something to pour into you. But with that being said, family, it's your host with the most. It's your boys, the Island Boys, the PR Boys. Go ahead and travel. We're going ahead and make it big, making it live. We're going to catch y'all next week. So as always, stay patient, stay disciplined, and the gains will come. Peace.
Deuces.